Hello, everybody. Jeff Allen here. A few people have asked me on LinkedIn what kind of AI-enabled software solutions I've worked on. Well, let's go back a little ways. 30 years ago, 29 years ago, I'm sorry, 30 years ago in 1995, I started working on translation systems in the United States for enterprises, Caterpillar, the big yellow machines. Had a big an authoring and translation kind of renovation with a whole new system of workflow and all that, plus all the translation, the authoring systems to do all the spell checking, the grammar checking, all that with the authors, kind of in a new way, a way kind of advanced, and then doing translation to automatic translation into 16 languages at a time. That's evolved now in other places, but so that was my introduction into this area as having been a linguist before that, having been a person that kind of studies different languages and tries to figure out the discrepancies between them and the weird differences, but all the pronunciation differences and all that between dialects and all that. So did that for a number of years at several institutions that are kind of really companies and research institutes, top research institutes that do this for corporate customers and for governments. And then 9/11 hit, and that kind of wiped out the field a little bit. So I had to go into telecommunications software. So basically, the networks that run these things, right? So the data that kind of travels across all these phones and stuff, and how the connections happen to the phones and the antennas, and they go to the servers and they go through all that. But the data that's through that's big data. I mean, that's been big data for more than that was 30 years ago, right? But it's been more of that for long because data on the telephones, you have to do the handshake with the phone, with the antenna, or if it's a server based, but it can be mainly on this, and it has to kind of follow the call drops or the forest and all that. So you've got to recapture the phone at a different place to the different antenna, right? So the data that's going through there that's happening. And that's just phone calls. You can have SMSs and all that too, right? Think of your whole connection, deconnection, reconnection, all that. That's a lot of data and a lot of protocol that's happening for that, those connections and deconnections to be happening, right? So we were working on decision support systems, DSSs, at the time. That would have been around 2001 and on, 2005. Where we work a decision support system is something that helps usually the engineer to be able to identify problems on the network, somewhere in the network, we want to call this thing, right? And so it allows them to figure out through data analysis to pinpoint where the problems are, basically. They can be fault management problems. They can be configuration management problems. Configuration is basically a card or something that goes wrong, somewhere in the network, and is causing a dysfunction. Or a fault management can be, I get a broken wire or something, so it's going to cause a problem, right? So decision support systems, we're actually doing predictive analysis. We're doing actually real-time analysis of the network to be able to help them identify a needle in the haystack, basically. So, and if this is the problem here, let's go send a technician out to check that thing and that card and that antenna out there somewhere in the network, right? Location. So that was called a DSS. Then fast forward that, came back to the translation space, and I had worked in different types of translation systems, which we were working with example-based, which is pattern recognition. So this is what I did before too, and came back to. You got pattern recognition, and we went to statistical systems, and now that's going to neural. So there's a lot of all this, pattern recognition and doing prediction of what the best possible translation of that word is within the sentence, with all the probability of analyzing all the data that you've got in all these databases that has been translated already. So kind of trying to simplify this a little bit. Then I did that for a few years. Worked also in other types of tools in that language industry, language field space. And then I came to SAP where actually, we were working at enterprise performance management software there at MyCom as well. And so I came to SAP where it's pretty much enterprise software. So it's a resource planning software. It's ERP is basically kind of the big thing that SAP does. But I came to teams that were working on business intelligence. So, well, financial planning actually. The first ones I worked on were in financial planning. So you're looking back at the budget of the previous year, analyzing all that, and then you're predicting the budget, potential budget for next year. So all that financial planning and budget analysis and planning, there are different tools for this. These different stages of the financial year and cycle, and plus beyond predicting. Then went into that was the first teams in SAP I worked on. So you can see all these things they're all AI basically. They're just different flavors of what we call AI, right? And I call this more traditional AI or legacy AI or classic AI. At least these tools they would be able to do. Then worked in business intelligence, which is basically taking, if you got a pyramid, you've got data, then you're able to raw data that you're able to take. Then you're going to be able to collect that and organize it in ways that you can say that this is knowledge, okay? And then you're going to be able to go on to another level where you're doing something with that data, that knowledge, and you'll be able to say that that's intelligence, right? And you're going to be collecting data from different data sources, different plugins for different connectors, different databases for different purpose in an enterprise, whatever it may be. So it could be all kinds of, everything customer ticket analysis to just looking when enterprise, everybody's going in and having their phones problems. They have little tickets open. I can do all these things and analyze that. You can do HR data to doing financial data to all this business intelligence. Pretty much can apply anywhere, right? To we'll say it's for business enterprise, because of governments or whatever. So this, and it can attach to it, but it can pretty much tap into any kind of database that if you got a connector for it, or what do you want to call these things, connector, plugin, or whatever. So that was business intelligence. Then also worked on, I guess I got to think. Then went into the predictive analytics part. So working on predictive analytics which you're analyzing. Yeah, it's a pretty similar thing, but then you're doing more prediction on the prediction side, looking for similar types of analyses of when you're doing analysis. Not, I try to simplify all these things, right? Because there's a lot more to this, but looking into types of year-to-year, month-to-month analysis, or all the Januaries of this that you're looking back and analyzing, but then you're predicting what it's going to be for like retail, for sales. How can you predict sales of this year based on the analysis the past 5 years, right? How will sales go? But and that's when you've got databases all for the data of everything you've sold, right? So I'd like to bring this to the guitar industry, because I've talked a lot about the guitar and guitar sales industry, and how I would apply this to guitars, right? This would be kind of interesting. But so that kind of predictive stuff can go in all kinds of ways. So now the big thing that we talk about in AI is, are they LLMs, or is it generative AI, or is it predictive analytics? And there's a big, I don't know what kind of fight between this, but because really predictive was doing this in a way, but you're predicting, now you're using LLMs to do it. And LLMs are kind of text-based analysis. No, we're trying to get them to be image-based and audio-based and video. I mean, they can do more things, right? So you can do more things in the GenAI now than you're able to do, but it had to kind of convert it to text to be able to do things, at least from the start. That was kind of how it was kind of restricted. Now let's do a little bit more. You can see all this, image stuff, all the paintings that have been AI generated, people that are kind of being, you could take your own picture and try to generate it, make it look what you're going to be when you're 80 years old, right? So all these kinds of things, or make you look younger too. You can go the other opposite way, all kinds of things, right? And all this is prediction, right? It's all taking things and saying, what is the kind of curve of people's, the kind of things you get in the degradation of your health and things that will be able to estimate this and say, what will you look like potentially, right? Then all through this, but mainly I've been working in speech. I forgot to say that back. I was working in speech systems too. It's not just text and translation, but actually speech systems back in the late 1990s. And I've come back to that again, working on speech, which has gotten better with AI, a lot better. The Gen AI kind of thing. I'm not saying with AI, because we were already doing it. but in a different way. And so now the speech system's getting the speech, pronunciation and the speech recognition are getting a lot better. And so I've been working again back on this, I'd say I've been working on this for the past 10 years again, on and off some projects. And I've done some customization of some of these things to get the pronunciation to be actually which is already pretty good now on English and French and other languages, to get it to be even better by actually customing the voices to be able to pronounce specific vocabulary of a certain company, right? Because I work for big companies, so I've got databases. I've got actually selected words that are the most common, frequently used words stated in videos across the company for the past 5 years, because I've done a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go into all the details how I did this, right? But so I take those and I test them through the system and see if we can get it to be a little bit better, right? An example of that, what I did probably 2017, 2018, and then in 2020 to do the actual, the product was to go back and do the editing of all the video captions that had been, that I'd edited on English for about 2 years, for all kinds of videos done for all types of, mainly a lot of all big town hall meetings and that for tens of thousands of people. And take all these meetings of all the strategy meetings and telling how the year went and all that. Then be able to capture that and then focus on the pronunciation aspects of how why I was getting problems. What were the most recurring problems especially with non-native speakers of English, right? That's a harder problem. These speech systems get native speakers of English better, given the accent. It kind of depends, but non-native speakers have other influence from other languages that's impeding that sound. It's creating a block, and they can use these phrases all the time, so it keeps coming back. So I would kind of do some work to be able to customize those speech to text systems and get it to filter out those or to change those, to get them more closer to what a native speaker would say. Then work on the text-to-speech systems. I've been doing a few projects the past year to be able to get the text-to-speech to work for like a lot of internal training courses and stuff. So because we don't have enough trainers, I give training to, I just still do this. I train on content and give things to training courses internally for a lot of different topics that relate to, my career for the past 30 years. But now I'm taking rather than being able to give training courses all the time, the new ones, when we got things that have kind of been we've got a number of trainers now or have trained people, but when we lose them because of, volunteer leave kind of things or departure things and all that, business, gets impacted by a lot of worldwide events and things, we lose people. So to be able to train new people, without having to send trainers to them, you try to do, self-paced learning. And when the self-paced learning, what you do is you try to, now we're trying to do scripting, which is, the thing is, a lot of scripts are written to be read. So I've done a lot of work on this. I did a project specifically on this to be able to distinguish between read speech, the stuff that you, like a teleprompter that a politician will do, versus read-only text, which is made to be read and understood. And I did some projects specific to analyze that, and then now I'm bringing that in back a few years later. That was 2018. I'm now using that to be able to combine, or try to look at how do we combine text-only reading we turn it into a text-to-speech, we use it for a text-to-speech system, so that becomes read out text, but not by a person. It's being read out by a machine, by some kind of a text-to-speech assist software. And that's really interesting because some of the things that I've done too. I'm bringing a lot of different elements of experience in that allows us to do it. So I was the voiceover artist for a lot of our product videos here at SAP. I'd say I've probably done about 200, probably 150 videos and a lot of different products in the past 10 years. And the hardest thing in doing that is a lot of the text has been made to be read, right? A lot of technical documentation, a lot of the market, it's meant to be read. only with your eyes. But the hardest problem is now when you want to make a video out of it is to take these texts that have been made to be read, to convert them into something that needs to be pronounced. And that's where I'm saying reading out loud, right? And there was a lot of unnecessary pronunciation of the same company name, SAP Business Object something. You got to say this, 5 times in the video, and you shouldn't have to say that. You should our product, right, or our company, right, or this company or something. There are ways to simplify this, but people, emphasize and having all the product names, which have a lot of consonant clusters. A lot of these things are really hard to say, right? That you won't see in natural speech like I'm doing now. But you can imagine that when you've got sentences that are full of these product names and project names and stuff, they're hard to pronounce quickly and to read them and saying them out loud. And they were never pronounced before. So what I was doing was helping rewrite scripts to be able to, you need to pronounce out loud. And you say, well, this is too hard to say. So how can we modify this script so it's easier for a person to read while they're walking down the hall following a prompt, right? So this is called conversational speech. So I'm now taking that experience, which I did in 2018, and now bringing it into using the text-to-speech software to read out these scripts that are for training, self-paced training courses. So, and that's kind of interesting because we've got training courses that recorded, and we got scripts that we want people to follow, but they're talking points, right? These scripts tend to be talking points that the trainers will usually kind of go on and do more spontaneous or extemporaneous kind of speaking about, discourse about. But now to merge those or not. And so it's a lot of fun, a lot of things we're doing. And those are those are pretty much a lot of the examples of what I've been doing in this AI-enabled software arena. And I did even some more. I was in the AI department in our company. The central AI department, because you got all the different lines of business are doing AI too. But I was there I did a 6-month called a fellowship, and that was really interesting. I got some videos up on YouTube about this a little bit, but some of the things I was working on, which I'm working on several patents, which I can't talk. It's patent applications I can't talk about, right? But don't want to talk about because I shouldn't. But I'm working on a few different things in a lot of the spaces I've been working on. But some of the things I didn't need to get into patents but it was more general, was looking at how to explain AI, right, and to a general population. And so I would be writing conference scripts for some of our leaders that go out and do a lot of conference stuff. They get the budget to do it. I don't. So I write their scripts for them. And it's kind of ghostwriting if you want. And explaining, like I said, the older classical or traditional or legacy AI, what is that compared to Gen AI? And what is that? Kind of some simple examples. And I practice doing this in retirement homes when I do music. I talk about AI too. So I can see if the elderly people capture it. And that's fun when they get it. Make some things that they can relate to. And I did a number of scripts for like conferences on applying AI to theater, to the theater field, that's a whole new thing. And applying AI to automotive, applying AI to financial applications. So I've done a lot of those things too. So explaining this and what are the future of the AI in those fields, given that we've got moving away from this classical or we've been able to do with AI before, and where we're going with the Gen AI, generative AI kind of approach. So that's what I do. Took 20 minutes to explain it because there's a lot. But I guess that's that people are asking what I do, and so I haven't done one thing. I haven't done one single thing in this field. I've done a lot, and given that my company, the company I work for, there's 2,000 software applications across all industries, 30 different industries. Vertical and sectors and all that. There's a lot of opportunity to apply AI to anything, right? So there's lots of things I'm getting asked to do things here and there too, and so looking now in the video, do things to be able to get content out, but get content out in a faster way, and applying that in a number of ways, different solutions that would help us speed up the productivity of the people that are able to create the content. and be able to get them to help them do more in the same amount of time and allow them to go on vacation, right? So that's kind of what I've been working on. Okay, thanks. Thanks for listening.